Bombay Walas. Nowhere is ever home, but this may be the town of least effort for me. Here the idiom is known, sarees curdle over haunch like nowhere else. Lust kindles in the silver dark at the starlet's launch. And hot from home, the lunches clatter out under a Gothic arch. 7 islands soaked up the sea to leave land for an infanta's dowry. For 200 years and more, the tides have swept the world ashore. The thought air teems, a bow of water curves from slum to dream to loose an arrow's flight. On the walls, our blood spills black and white. I wish I could write as well today. But recalling that day on the 14th of August, 1947, so it was a relief that we would no longer have these Goras standing astride us. The second feeling was the feeling of hope, that we would now be masters of our own fate. We all listened to Nehru's famous speech at the stroke of midnight. I think very few people slept that day. From Colaba Point to Dadar and north, nobody really went to sleep that night, I don't think. I will never forget the illumination of the buildings. You know, somehow one thinks of the least important things about the most important days. One remembers the illumination. Every public building was illuminated. The trams were illuminated, and they were double-decker trams, what's more. It was a great time to be young. I was in my junior year in college, and from there I went into a very priggish Reuters. My first job, I was stained with blood during my first coverage of a boxing match at Kazi Jahangir Hall. Sports was a very amazing thing at that time because India was discovering its own skills in sports, cricket included. I covered cricket, went to Kolhapur to cover Maharashtra versus Bombay. The World Table Tennis Championships were held in Bombay in 1950 or 51 at the CCI. And that was the year where all the great names in table tennis were defeated by the Japanese, not by the Japanese team, but by the sponge rubber racket. I remember those were the days when you could safely drink water from any tap. The streets were washed every day with chlorinated water. You had vans going down the street, and behind the vans was this bridal train of water washing the streets. That is an image, I think, that tells you what Bombay was like in those days. On the local trains, I remember I used to travel every day from Dockyard Road to VT, and there was plenty of room for everybody. We were strapped for money, but that never stopped us doing the kind of plays that we wanted to do. A word theatre came to India via Bombay, and in Bombay, via the theatre group. The theatre teaches you artifice, teaches you how to conceal your real feelings should you wish to control them. You develop those skills by performance. Is that you're exposed to concepts that open new doors in your head. The headline that I will never forget is Gerson magnificent as Othello. Bombay was an affluent city from the mid-19th century. Where there is wealth, it attracts the arts. It attracts a variety of other things as well, crime, for example. And Bombay was no exception. But let's not forget that the art and glamour of Bombay depended on that port and depended on the mills. The kind of music that we had in those days were wonderful jazz and swing. There was Ken Mack, Chick Chocolate, Mickey Correa. These were bands that really were world class. And they played also in small places like the Other Room, the Little Hut, which was a restaurant in the Ritz Hotel. Now all these have disappeared. The change in the politics of the city meant that it was necessary to have a vote bank. And that vote bank became the slum dweller. As a result of which, today, 2/3 of the population of this city, of Mumbai, is slum dwellers. And no city has really been able to rescue itself from that degree of slum dwelling. I can't put a date onto the slumification of the city, but it would have been the early to mid-80s. If citizens collected in sufficient numbers behind issues, I think the politician would be compelled to take note. What is happening at the moment is that the citizen is more concerned with complaint than with doing something about those complaints. The one secret I have learned is not to give up. For example, I have a great problem of walking. I need a crutch. I need help to walk. Soon I'm going to need a wheelchair. If you ask me what is the one thing that I have learned in my 90 years, I would say where there's a will, there's a wheelchair.